Yeah, and so the Chicago mayor dealt with another bloody weekend. Last time it was Juneteenth. This time it's the 4th of July. And as usual, the Chicago mayor is making excuses for all of this chaos. And the reality is it's just going to continue to happen because he refuses to enforce any type of strict curfew. He does not want to actually hold the parents of these children accountable, and he refuses to hold the teens accountable. And so no consequences, no accountability, no change. He thinks that all it takes is a few summer jobs, some activities to keep them busy in the summer, and that'll stop these teen mob takeovers from happening 3 a.m. in the morning, where they come in and destroy people's property and disrupt and create chaos throughout different neighborhoods. Yeah. And so as always, smash that thumbs up button. That's the best way to let me know you enjoy the content. For more, subscribe to the channel. And so let's start right here.
A pair of shootings at a large gathering on the west side leaves 7 injured, many of them teenagers. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jackie Bang. Andrea Medina is live at police headquarters with the latest. Andrea.
Hi, Jackie. It's still unclear what triggered the shootings, but neighbors say this is the second time in less than a month that large gatherings have taken over their block, leaving them frustrated over the disruption and loss of peace.
You couldn't tell fireworks from gunshots at one point, but we started seeing the kids running. We knew something happened when they started running.
Cell phone video capturing the chaos, gunshots blending with fireworks as a growing crowd took over a residential block in Garfield Park Saturday night. Neighbors say repeated calls were made to CPD, fearing a 4th of July gathering was heading in the wrong direction.
10:52, I made my first call to the police, and I texted my neighbor next door and I let her know I think they're beginning to gather.
Trinissa Williams says this wasn't the first time a large crowd had taken over her block near Maple Avenue and Hamlin Boulevard. She says a similar gathering happened on Juneteenth, but she says this one was on an entirely different.
I mean, wow, this is absolutely insane. Already had a situation like this happening on Juneteenth, where you had things getting out of control. And I reported on this, where you had, yeah, of course, teen mob mass takeovers, just like she was saying, and you had violence occurring. And so even on Juneteenth, which is supposed to be Black Independence Day, you would think there'd be a level of unity and understanding, like, hey, brother, we got to come together on this day, if any day. But I guess not, right? Like, I don't care if it's Juneteenth, we still gonna be taking each other's lives. And so 4th of July, of course, is not gonna be any different, right? And but the issue is, you would think with this going on consecutively and even beyond Juneteenth, it was happening before then in Chicago as well as other cities with these black mob teen takeovers. That's what it is. Every time you see it, it's mobs of black teens. You would think that, hey, let's actually do something about it. But no, we're dealing with Democrats. We're dealing with soft on crime Democrats like Brandon Johnson, who believe that all it takes is a few after school programs. Well, it's the summer right now. Who believes all it takes is a few summer jobs, some activities to keep the youth busy. And that's going to stop them from destroying people's property 3 a.m. in the morning, killing each other over nothing, over stupidity. But let's continue.
Scale.
Easily 3,000 to 5,000. I think they were coming in droves of like maybe 200 or 300 at a time. And I called the police each time I saw another group of 100 come down the street.
They had gallon bottles or big bottles of alcohol, cups in their hand. They're smoking on whatever they're smoking, which smells like you don't know what. And they're hanging out and cursing and getting on cars.
Connie Mitchell and Williams say the night quickly became overwhelming with little respect shown for the neighborhood. They say police did respond, but were outnumbered as the crowd grew. They add it wasn't just teens, but a mix of multiple age groups, and say even the safety of their home offered no escape from the commotion.
And when you open your door and say, please get off my property, get off my gate, get off that car, oh, you're talked to like you're less than human.
Then, just before 1:30 Sunday morning, the gunfire neighbors had feared erupted. Chicago police say a 17-year-old girl was standing outside when she was shot in the chest. She was rushed to Stroger Hospital in critical condition. Then, before the neighborhood could even process the first shooting, there was more gunfire just 9 minutes later on the same block. Police say 6 more people between 17 and 20 years old were hit by gunfire as they were standing outside. A teenage boy was shot twice in the neck. An 18-year-old woman was struck in the backside and arm. 4 others were hit in the leg and foot.
People creating these large gatherings, not truly understanding or knowing or caring about the consequences of what happens. To get 7 people shot at an incident like that, is reprehensible. And I think we ought to hold people that put these events on accountable.
Neighbors say they agree with the 28th Ward alderman calling for stronger accountability at home, urging parents to be more aware of their teens' whereabouts, and saying people of all ages need to make better choices before another gathering turns violent.
Don't go into someone else's space and cause destruction or disruption.
This is what happens when you got kids out here who don't have any accountability. They're not disciplined and don't have any respect for anybody, anyone around them. The parents, they don't care. They're not parenting. They're not doing their job. And then you got leadership in the city. In this case, you got Democratic leadership in the city who they're not doing their job. And they don't even care about the communities that these teenagers are affecting when it comes to destroying people's property, disrespecting people's property, and just causing a high level of chaos where people don't even feel safe in their own home because they don't know what's going to happen. And the crazy thing is, the city of Chicago had an opportunity to actually create a more strict curfew, and the mayor vetoed it. And so let me read this off to you real quick. City Council upheld the mayor's snap curfew veto. Here's what Chicago dodged. The Chicago City Council passed a snap curfew ordinance on June 18th that allows the superintendent, that's what they call their police chief in Chicago, to impose short notice curfews. 2 days later, Mayor Brandon Johnson issued the first veto in 19 years by a Chicago mayor. On Wednesday, the city council failed to overturn the mayor's veto. The measure had many critics, and the superintendent, Larry Snelling, himself expressed mixed opinions on the ordinance. Probably why he decided to retire just very recently, because he tired of what he's seeing. But let's get into this clip. This is Brandon Johnson and what he had to say when he was confronted on the curfew, and listen to his reasoning on why he did not want to enforce a stricter curfew in Chicago. Check this out.
You endorsed it on New Year's Eve to keep things safe, especially with Chicago in the national spotlight. And now you're saying you're against it? Where do you stand on the curfew that is up tomorrow?
If you're asking me where I stand on curfews, I support curfews. That's what we actually instituted and implemented on New Year's Eve. It's a 10 p.m. curfew that's always been in place. I've never been opposed to a curfew for teenagers. What I've been opposed to is to have unilateral control offered into one entity of government to determine if a curfew should be implemented. That's not just my concern. That's ACLU, civil rights organizations, and the mere fact that we did not have an incident over New Year's Eve without any additional tools, it's proof positive with the work that we have done to ensure that we're building the safest, most affordable big city in America. We have to continue to do that work. What I've said, as it relates to your colleague, there's a component that's being addressed today or tomorrow around the impact that social media has on these gatherings that is the antithesis to what we're building in Chicago. We have to explore those measures.
Just so I'm clear on what you're saying, you don't want anything about the curfew expanded to give the police additional powers to deal with the teen trend?
Well, that's correct. That's where I've always been. So that part is consistent. That hasn't changed, nor has my position changed on a curfew. The curfew is set for 10 p.m. If you're under the age of 18, if you're not with an adult, there are accountability mechanisms that are in place to ensure that that behavior is not normalized.
Yeah, and so you heard that. And so clearly that behavior has been normalized, because that, as you just heard, was earlier, New Year's, where because they didn't have any incident, which probably had more to do with weather, who knows, I don't know, but maybe you didn't have large teen gatherings happening at that specific time because it was too cold outside, but now it's hot out, and it's been consecutive back to back to back Memorial Day weekend, Juneteenth, 4th of July weekend, where you had, and beyond that, but where you had these teen takeovers, these massive mobs of black teens who are coming in the neighborhoods, destroying property, and you got the mayor talking about, well, we got a 10 p.m. curfew. If you're under the age of 18, then we want you to be held accountable. Clearly, there's no accountability. There's no enforcement with that. Clearly, the parents of these children aren't saying, hey, stay in the house because, you know, it's a 10 p.m. curfew and you can't be out that late. Clearly, that's not working. And so it don't matter how much you're in favor of a curfew, the parents who letting their kids out, the teens who are going out, they ain't in favor of the curfew and they not listening. And you're not doing anything different to actually solve the problem. You think that you're simply going to solve it with what? Press conferences and words talking about how just take some summer programs and we need to hug and love on the kids more. Now what you need to do is hold them accountable. Hold these parents accountable. When you had the opportunity to hold the parents accountable and find these parents who letting their kids out, make them pay a fine. Yeah, make them pay a fine. Y'all didn't want to pass that because you two were, oh, they already working multiple jobs. So what? When you get to a point in a society where those who are supposed to uphold the social contract in that society refuse to, then yeah, it should be punishment. And right now in the city of Chicago, you have many of these bad parents who are not holding to their end of the social contract, which is you take care of your kids, and if they bad, it's on you. Because if it's not going to be on you, then the state law enforcement is going to be on them. And the way they handle it is not going to be the way you like. And so pick one or the other. You want to take care of your responsibilities with these kids and keep them in line and do what you need to do as an adult, as a parent, or do you want the city to? Do you want the police to? It got to be one or the other. But right now you got a mayor in Brandon Johnson. He want to say it's the parents' responsibility, but he doesn't want to actually do anything that's going to actually make sure they're being held accountable. And so while you have all of this going on, you have the police superintendent deciding that he's going to step down and retire now after being the hand-picked superintendent choice by the current mayor, Brandon Johnson. And the rumor was that they had just tension between each other based on how he believed the crime should be handled in the city of Chicago.
The accolades started to pour in within minutes of Superintendent Snelling announcing his retirement. But beyond the praise, there's also concern about what and who comes next. It was only 6 weeks ago that Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling said this when asked about the persistent rumors that he was getting ready to retire.
Rumors are rumors.
So while the news isn't entirely unexpected, the timing is, coming just as the traditionally more violent summer months are getting underway.
As these street takeovers and teen trends continue throughout the city of Chicago, who's going to be at the helm of the police department?
Fueling speculation that a tense relationship with Mayor Brandon Johnson may have let him out.
Yeah, so you have a mayor and a police superintendent who are completely different sides of the spectrum when it comes to how they believe crime should be handled. And he let it be known just weeks before he decided to retire. Take a listen.
But Snelling did make it clear during his City Club appearance today, it's time to stop making excuses for criminals.
I think we've become so focused on why an offender offends. We've forgotten to ask the question about what we can do for those people that they've offended against.
Snelling told the mostly business-friendly crowd that government cannot save everyone and there are some people who should be locked up. He says accountability is necessary for all criminals, regardless of age.
When I have a kid who decides that with a $700 gun that he's going to point it in the face of an elderly woman and force her to an ATM and draw out her savings, that's a choice that you made to commit a heinous crime, and you have to be held accountable for it.
And Snelling says no more excuses for kids who participate in teen takeovers. Not only should they be held accountable, Snelling believes their parents should be too.
It's not parent shaming to say that you should know where your children are at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night when you have a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old.
I'm going to go ahead and leave it right here. This is not going to be solved with selecting the right politician, but it's a start. Like that's the reality. Like this is beyond just, hey, put someone competent in office. I mean, stop voting Democrat no matter who. While that is a start, showing that you're not going to tolerate this level of behavior, which will get a certain element of these teens who don't want to get caught up in it. Maybe they just are trying to hang out, you know, that sort of thing. It'll get them out of the way, and then that'll allow you to deal with the real troublemakers. If you at least get leadership in there that wants to really enforce the law, that's at least the beginning. But the reality is, this is a cultural issue. Now, I'm not going to say all, because it's not all, but this is a cultural issue in the black community. I mean, these teen takeovers, I mean, I don't have to tell you what it looks like. You can see it with your eyes. It's a massive crowd of black teens coming from black households. And so this is a cultural issue. This is a parenting problem. This is a not caring about your community and your neighbors issue, not respecting yourself. And so until that element gets solved, which is what Brandon Johnson tries to talk about, only problem is that's a long-term solution. In the short term, you need strict law enforcement. None of this is going to change. In the short term, you need stricter law enforcement. In the long term, you need a cultural shift. And until that happens, we'll see more of this, unfortunately. That's the reality. That's the reality. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the update. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your comments down below. I appreciate when you guys chime in. Don't forget, you enjoy the content, smash that thumbs up. For more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.